Trump didn't attend the funeral for civil rights leader and Congressman John Lewis, which, to be honest with you, I think is probably for the best. But he was asked what motivated his decision during an interview with Jonathan Swan over at Axios. Let's hear what he had to say.
John Lewis is lying in state in the US Capitol. How do you think history will remember John Lewis?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know John Lewis. He chose not to come to my inauguration. He chose. I never met John Lewis. Actually, I don't believe.
Do you find him impressive?
I can't say one way or the other. I find a lot of people impressive. I find many people not impressive. But no. But I didn't go.
Do you find his story impressive?
He didn't come to my inauguration. He didn't come to my State of the Union speeches, and that's okay. That's his right. And again, nobody has done more for Black Americans than I have.
I understand.
He should have come. I think he made a big mistake.
At one point during this interview, Swan asks him, wait, you think you've done the most for African Americans in this country? What about Lyndon Johnson with the Civil Rights Act? And he's like, nobody's done better. No, you're garbage. Anyway, he's a garbage person. But I wanted to get your thoughts before I go off.
I mean, I think poor John Lewis, the disrespect of John Lewis from Bill Clinton at his funeral to Donald Trump speaking about him now, the lack of respect that America has had for Black men in this country has been part of its legacy. But this is a president. This is the president of the United States who's being asked about someone who just died, who was so instrumental to the civil rights movement and the advancement of Black people in this country. And all he had to say about it was, he didn't come to my birthday party, so I'm not going to his. And that is the president of the United States, the leader of the free world. And the people who are in line with that thinking are the people who want to participate in the dismantling and the destruction of this country, because no one who has an ounce of intelligence, IQ or EQ, can line up with that thinking. Like that's what you have to say. The most honest thing that he said during the interview was, I don't know, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know the number of people dying of coronavirus. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. And he is the president of the United States. And there are people who think that what he's doing has gall, because he is standing up to that man, because that man didn't go to inauguration. And that's my president who says, I'm petty too. And that's what we have to rise above, because we can fight people that are intellectual in this country and education all we want. It's not like we're thriving in the education department, but the very few people that we have that are working their behinds off to have some education so they can document our history, so they can help us with our science. We can turn our backs on all of that that we want to, but those are the very people we're going to be relying on to keep this country alive when all is said and done. And so to hear him just talk that is downright tacky. That is just tacky of him. There's nothing else you can say about it. He lacks class. He's like Fat Albert said, he's like school on Saturday, no class.
Yeah, I mean, tacky is his middle name. Anyway, look, he wears terrible bronzer. Like terrible. Like he loves the tack. He loves the tackiness. But there's one more video from this exchange. Let's take a quick look at that. And I'll tell you why none of this is going to matter with his base.
Taking your relationship with him out of it, do you find his story impressive? What he's done for this country?
He was a person that devoted a lot of energy and a lot of heart to civil rights, but there were many others also.
There's a petition to rename the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama as the John Lewis Bridge. Would you support that idea?
I would have no objection to it if they'd like to do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Would have no objection to it whatsoever. Okay.
I don't even know why he lied in the end and pretended like he'd have no objection to it. In fact, I think in reality, his response to that effort eventually will be, I'm against it, because that's what plays well with his base. Previously you said something that like was just so correct about the people who continue to support him despite the death and destruction in this country, right? And what do you have left? Like, what has he given you? Your economic situation is likely terrible. You might have even lost some family members in the middle of this pandemic. What would supporters latch onto in order to justify their support for Trump? And it really is the division that he sows in this country, the hatred toward immigrants, the hatred toward people of color. And if you look at the ratings for Fox News on the day of John Lewis's funeral, it'll prove to you exactly what his base is about, because his base watches Fox. Fox has certainly been very complimentary toward Trump. Every once in a while, they'll do a little poke here, a little poke there, a little bit of criticism. But overwhelmingly, the hosts at Fox News are very supportive of Trump. And so how does the Fox News audience respond to live coverage of Lewis's funeral? Well, this was tweeted by Brian Stelter, and the numbers are pretty depressing. Fox had nearly 1.9 million viewers in the 9 a.m. hour. But once the funeral began, viewership collapsed. 825,000 viewers in the 11 a.m. hour, 540,000 viewers in the 1 p.m. hour. CNN and MSNBC gained audience, which is normal during a big event. So if you're the typical Fox viewer, you see John Lewis's funeral and you're like, I'm out, not interested. So if you're part of Trump's base, you love that exchange.
You're also giving them the benefit of an attention span. So to say that they can hang on for that long for one event is probably not within their wheelhouse. And I said that's on behalf of Ida Rodriguez, not the Young Turks.
I mean, you're probably right, but I think like at the core of it is, racism. John Lewis was a civil rights leader. Yep. And you think that Fox's audience values him? Values the Civil Rights Act, values the civil rights movement? No, of course not.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.